You are listening to Season 2 of The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, the short and often daily podcast in which I chronicle my life and attempt to be a writer by writing daily. Sometimes. Hello, today is Friday the 10th of January 2025. You're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and I can finally report that I have done some writing. So I got up this morning. I knew I was going to have a quite productive day today because I didn't feel anxious and I felt all right and a bit normal, which I don't always, but today I did. And the first thing I did was I read a bit more of the book that I'm reading, Principles by... Now, I really... Hang on a moment. I'm just going to find out how to pronounce this name, courtesy of Google Translate. So there you go. I've just typed in, so hopefully you'll be able to hear this.
Dienw Neb.
Dienw Neb. Let me turn the volume up a bit so you can hear that properly.
Dienw Neb. Dienw Neb.
Yes, so that's the name of the author, and it actually means no man's name, or no one's name. I think the first word means anonymous. Anyway, I finally, I started reading that today, and then, because there's a lot of things I want to do at the moment. I want to lose weight, I want to get back into the habit of exercising, because I have done the least exercise in the last few months that I've probably done over the last 10 years, and I can really feel it with my weight and my general fitness levels. So I read a bit of the book, and then I decided I was going to walk into town, and I did walk into town. I walked the long way, so it's like a 3-mile route to get to the coffee shop, and at the coffee shop I pulled out my laptop. Wasn't sure whether I was in the mood to write or not, but I thought, well, I'll have a glance through what I've already written of chapter 38 of Empress of the Trees, and out of nowhere, well, firstly, I reread the last few bits, and then suddenly, because the first paragraph I'd written of the next segment of the story, I really didn't like. It wasn't very good. So I deleted it. It's only a paragraph, it's probably only about 100 words. So I deleted it and started again and wrote the scene. In fact, it's quite a long, and it's probably more than one scene actually, but it's a sequence. It's a very long, not a very long sequence. It's about 2,000 words, and it basically details what happens when the soldiers that have been sent down to defeat our heroes in the Arboretum. It's what happens when they are confronted by the Skult, the tree creatures, the tree men, the tree manifestations. And it all ties in with something I added to a chapter earlier around how the soldiers were selected and stuff like that. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I really enjoyed writing it. And as I said, I've been toying with whether is what I've just written the end of it, is what I'm writing going to be one chapter or is it going to be two? And I got to a point which was just a perfect chapter ending. So yes, I've got to. So effectively, I've finished a chapter today. It isn't. It was originally going to be a much longer chapter, so I will now spill the rest of material that was supposed to be in this chapter into the next chapter. So I think what I've just done is chapter 38. Let me just check. And that was supposed to be the big chapter. 39 was supposed to be the chapter of death, and 40 was supposed to be the epilogue, but there's going to be an extra chapter now. Well, it's not extra, it's just this chapter was going to be enormous, and the next chapter's probably, and I was sitting there thinking, how long's too long for a chapter? Is 20,000 words too long for a chapter? The one I've just written, Endgame, chapter 38, is still 7,000 words long, so it's a big chunky chapter. It's not the longest I've written. I think there's one that's 9.5 there, but it's still a big, decent, chunky chapter, and and it tells the bit of story it needs to tell. Hopefully it tells it well, which then leaves me with the conclusion, the finale, and then the chapter of death, and then the epilogue. And my goal, the minimum I want to get written by the end of this month, is up to the end of the chapter of death. Now, if I can write a couple of thousand words a day, like I did today, or even 1,000 words a day, I can definitely do that by the end of the month. Obviously, it depends on my, how I'm getting on, how I'm feeling. But yeah, I'm very, very pleased with what I got done today. I was in a coffee shop, so I didn't live stream it, unfortunately. So you still haven't seen me on my live stream yet this year. But it will happen, I promise, at some point. Anyway, then I walked home and finished reading the book by
Dienw Neb,
called Principles. And I really enjoyed it. overall. It was a very tense book. It's sort of set in a place rather like Korea, and it's about poor people who have this carrot dangled in front of them. It's about a lot of things, but one of the things is a revolution, and there's poor people having the carrot dangled in front of them that they could escape their miserable humdrum existence if they simply become an iPop idol. It's very, very good. It's very, very bleak in places. It doesn't go too far because you've got enough horrible stuff going on with the candidates in this iPop school, and it could have gone too far. So luckily, there is no sexual element to the abuse that the candidates are subjected to, because it's not just girls by any means. And whilst it wouldn't have been unrealistic for that to happen, I think the book's dark enough as it is without needing to go into that level of detail. But no, I really, really enjoyed it. I liked the slightly ambiguous ending. But as I said in the review I've put on my website, I have a fairly good idea what I think happened immediately after the final scenes and stuff like that. So yes, I thoroughly recommend Principles by
Dienw Neb.
There are links, so I've just placed an article on my website, and there are links to buy it in both the US Amazon store and the UK Amazon store. So yeah, that's good. I will actually share that article on my social media tomorrow, because I've already done an entry for today because I was so chuffed at actually getting some writing done. I didn't think I'd have a day that was even more productive. And then on top of that, I've just listened to the top 40 countdown live on BBC Radio 1 because I was really invested in Messy by Lola Young getting to number 1 this week. She was at number 3 last week. Will she get to number 1 this week? No, she bloody didn't, and I'm very disappointed. It was still at number 3, but they did read out my comment before her chart position was revealed, saying I hoped it was her. It's a great song. There is a clean version, there's a sweary version. Personally, I think the rawness of the sweary version makes it a better song, but there's not much in it. Messy by Lola Young. Anyway, so what am I going to do today? I'm going to probably put together my chart podcast, although it won't get released until Sunday, and start another book. But other than that, thank you for listening. Have a really productive day, and I'll talk to you hopefully at the same time tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. For more information about what I'm writing, go to linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W, where you can find details of my website and social media. I may see you there.